Hello, my name is Craig Mabey. I'm one of your district technicians working out of the Springdale Technology Department. Today we're going to go over these new Newline boards, just talking about the basic features and capabilities. First things first, before we get too far into the video, this is specifically about the model TT6521Q. So we have a couple different types of boards in the district, even some different types of Newline boards. So if you have a Newline board that looks like this but is a little bit different, then you still probably have these features and capabilities, but they might be found in different places. So some of the stuff in this video might not apply to you. So first off, we'll talk about the physical interface. Before we begin, they need to be plugged in to be able to be powered on, of course. And right under where the power cord connects to the Newline board is a switch, like a light switch. That is an on-off button. So if that is off, the board's not going to be getting power at all. So right here is the actual power button. If there's no light here, then that means your board isn't receiving power. It either needs to be plugged in or that switch needs to be turned on. So if the board is off, it'll be a red light. If it's not getting power at all, you'll receive no light. If the board is on, you'll have a white light right here. Of course, it's already on, so we won't switch it off. Some of the other buttons, next one in line is the sound. You can change the volume up and down using that first button. Of course, you can also change the volume on your computer. If you're projecting from the computer, you can change it in the video. This is just another source to be able to change the volume. Next button in line is the brightness. You probably just want to leave that at 100% unless you have an especially dim classroom. Next button in line is the home button, which will bring you back to this screen no matter where you are. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And the last button in line is the hamburger menu, they call it, which is just a convenient source of some more of these buttons. So one of the important ones is freeze. You can freeze your screen. It will remain there no matter what you're doing on your computer, so you can navigate away but still be showing students a slide. You unfreeze it right here by tapping that button. And some other various features that we'll go through later. Source is an important one, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So just explore that when you have the opportunity. So the next set of buttons that we want to look at is on the actual board itself. On the left and the right, you have these buttons. If you click on one, the other one will disappear. You can move them up and down, but you'll always have one on the left and one on the right. So if you click on them, it's a quick menu for various options and features that you might need to access quickly, frequently. The first button in line at the top doesn't actually apply to us. That's for the on-screen or the inboard computer, which we don't have in these. So if you click that button, it doesn't really do anything for you. It tries to take you to a different source. You're safe just to ignore that one. Second one in line, very important though, that is the home button. If you click the home button, it will take you back to this screen no matter where you are. So remember that one. The home screen is also found down here on the physical interface. So many sources to reach that. The third button down, actually let's skip that one for right now. It'll make more sense. The fourth button, the one closest to the white button on top, is just the whiteboard. If you click on that, well, as you would expect, it's a whiteboard. You can draw on it, finger or pen. If you hold down one of the drawing tools at the bottom, it will allow you to change color, change the thickness of the pen. There are some different tools. The one that looks like the lasso is the select tool. Of course, there's the eraser as well. To erase something, you don't have to erase the entire thing. You just need to draw a line that touches it. So for this right here, it's all erased. There's also some capabilities to add images, shapes, and special feature. If we go to search image, it will actually allow you to search for images online and paste them over to the board. One more nifty feature, just in case anybody needs it. If you have students that you can't really trust to prevent from drawing stuff on the board, you need to walk out of the room frequently. We have an option down here in the settings, which should be defaulted to write with fine pen or fingers. If you have students drawing on your board all the time, just change it to write with fine pen only. Then you can only draw with the pen, no fingers. But by default, we leave that with fine pen or fingers, so you can choose yourself what you want to do. So the next button on the quick tool, the third one from the top, well, the one actually we skipped, is one I very much enjoy. It's the whiteboard tools that we just looked at, but on whatever it is that you're currently presenting to students. So if you had a YouTube video open, if you had a PowerPoint slide, anything like that, if you go to the quick menu, hit the third button in line, it will open up the whiteboard tools, but for whatever it is that you're currently looking at. So this is the home screen, for example. If this were a slide, we could draw on it. We could highlight things, draw attention to things, and then when you're done with it, you just click out of it and you're back to the screen that you're on. So very convenient tool right there. It does stay up though after you're done with it, so you may have to erase stuff after the fact. Now for the bottom section, the one right below the Quick Tools button is the same as what you'd see on the home screen. It's the Apps button, where it's got the various preloaded apps that come with the board. Most of these you won't find a lot of use for. In elementary schools, you might find some use from the Newline classroom tools, so explore that when you get the chance. Newline Cast and Broadcast are very important ones. We'll go over those later. And if you're going to be using files from a USB drive, then File Commander might be necessary under some instances. Might allow you to show pictures that you brought from home on a flash drive, for example. The next button in line, that is the Change Source button. So on the home screen, we usually have this one defaulted towards the input that you would use to plug your computer in. But if you're going to plug in a different computer, for example, if you had a guest coming in, plugging into this input on the front, you could use this quick menu right here to select between various inputs. And again, this is a default configuration, but your school might configure your home screen separately. So if it doesn't look like this, no problem. These quick buttons will still remain the same. So we usually configure this fourth button, or the third button in line on the bottom, to be just like on an Android phone. It will show you all of the applications that you currently have open in case one of them freezes or crashes. If there's any issues with that, you can contact your BIT, have them assist you. But in the event that something crashes and you just need it out of there, you can hit that button and you can just bring up all of the things that you have open and then hit the X on the top and make them go away. Oh, apologies, I must have missed the X. Oh, I can't seem to hit that X, but you get the gist. Anything that you have open that freezes or crashes, you can just select between various apps or close the ones that you don't need. Last button is just back. Whatever you were on, home screen for example, you didn't want to go there, you just hit the back button and it goes back to the previous screen that you were on. So that one's very useful under various circumstances. So we'll look at the home page as well. It's very much like the quick toolbar, just able to access things that you normally use. These, though, we're able to customize and configure, so your school's home screen may look a little bit differently from what you're seeing here. But for SHS at least, this is what yours will look like. So we'll go over these real quick. The first one in the top left corner, that's just your computer input. So my laptop's plugged in here in the bottom, plugged in with the HDMI and the USB. So if your laptop or computer is plugged in, you can hit this input button right here to let the board know that you'd like to share your screen with your laptop. There's also, as we discussed earlier, the source selection on the quick toolbar, that's HDMI 2. The one in the front is HDMI 1. So if your laptop is plugged in, then you can switch inputs on the home screen. So this is just my laptop. We'll go back to the home screen. The browser is also a useful utility. If you don't have your laptop plugged in, just want to show your students a quick YouTube video or something that you can get online, the browser is just an inline browser downloaded and installed to the board. So you can use it to go to videos, show them things that you'd find online, and you don't even have to plug a computer in. It's just right there for you. A quick note though, this is Chromium, and Chromium will occasionally ask you to sync your account or ask if you want to sync your account. For security purposes, we don't like to sync our accounts to these boards simply because you're still logged into them even when the next person comes and uses the computer. So it's not recommended to sync your account to the browsers on these boards. And if you do, for some reason, just remember to log out in the top right corner when your icon appears. So moving on from that, next tool in line is the whiteboard. We've already gone over that, but that's just another way of accessing that. File viewer, we already talked about File Commander. Useful if you're getting files from a flash drive onto your board. The apps button, we've already gone over that. Screen sharing is the last important utility that you're definitely going to want to make use of. That is a utility that lets you wirelessly broadcast from a laptop to the boards. And not just from a laptop, this utility will work on pretty much anything that can access the internet or a Chrome browser. So all you'd need to do is go to Cast, go to displaynote.com/join, and then type in that code. So anybody on a Chromebook or a laptop, for example, that wants to project to this board only needs to go to that site, type in that code, and then they'll be invited to connect over here, at which point whatever is on their screen will be shared with the board. Now, you can use this for broadcasting to students, but we found that the physical connection is much more reliable, so we like to have a physical connection to the laptop or the computer whenever possible. This is an alternate method of sharing to students that you're welcome to use, but we don't recommend using it for long-term teaching applications. So I think that's the gist. If you have any further questions, you're always welcome to contact your school's building tech or your district tech. You can put in a ticket at helpdesk.com or just visit your tech wherever they sit. And if you have any further questions, just let us know.